Inside every man, there is a wild and powerful beast. It is a magnificent creature, full of untamed energy, raw instinct, and ferocious power. This beast is the source of your ambition, your passion, your righteous anger, and your primal drive. It is, in the words of psychologist Carl Jung, your shadow. And your entire life, your success in your career, your peace of mind, and your fate in relationships will be determined by one simple question. Are you the master of this beast, or is it the master of you? For most men, the answer is a grim one. They exist in the first of three great stages of masculine development. They are the man thrown by the horse. Their inner beast is an untamed, chaotic force that drags them through life. A select few, through immense struggle and force of will, advance to the second stage. They become the horse breaker. This is the man who fights his beast every single day, wrestling it into submission through sheer discipline. He is in control, but his life is a constant battle. And then there's the final, highest stage, a state of being achieved by only a small fraction of men. This is the master horseman. He is no longer fighting the beast. He has formed a partnership with it. They move as one, a perfect synthesis of wild power and conscious, rational direction. His control is effortless, his presence is calm, and his power is absolute. Today, you step into the training ring. This is your guide to this profound journey. We will first help you identify the wild horse within you and see how it is controlling your life. And then, we will give you the first reins of Stoic philosophy, the tools you need to stop being dragged through the dirt and to begin the difficult, noble work of taming your own inner beast. Let's first look at the chaotic reality of the man thrown by the horse. This is the man who is a slave to his own passions. The wild horse of his emotions is in complete control. A flicker of jealousy is enough to make the horse bolt, sending him into a paranoid rage. A whisper of fear is enough to make the horse rear up and throw him to the ground, causing him to retreat from challenges and opportunities. A taste of pleasure makes the horse run wild, chasing fleeting highs without regard for consequences. This man's life is a series of bruises and broken bones, left in the wake of his own uncontrolled reactions. He looks at the chaos around him and, like the prisoner, blames the terrain. He blames the weather. He blames the horse. He never realizes that his problem is not the horse's power, but his own lack of skill as a rider. In his relationships, this instability is terrifying to a woman. She sees a man who cannot even govern himself. How can he possibly lead, protect, or be a stable partner? One moment, he is gentle and kind. The next, the horse of his anger is spooked, and he becomes a dangerous, unpredictable force. She cannot trust him because he is not in control of the most powerful entity in his life, himself. The untamed power of his shadow, which should be a source of immense strength, becomes a source of pure destruction. If you have ever felt like you were being dragged by your own anger or anxiety, if you've ever looked back at your own actions and wondered who was in control, then you know the danger of an untamed horse. The decision to pick up the reins is the most important decision a man can ever make. It is the beginning of true self-mastery. If you are ready to make that choice, then commit to it now. Subscribe to this channel. This is not a stable for broken men. This is a training ground for future masters. Take the first rein now. The journey from being thrown by the horse to becoming the one who breaks, it is the first great ascension into power. This is the art of breaking the horse, and it is a process of immense struggle, discipline, and will. It requires three fundamental tools. The first tool is construction of the round pen. A master horse trainer never tries to break a wild horse in an open field. He creates a small, controlled, circular environment. This is where he establishes the rules. This is where he proves he is the leader. For you, the round pen is the stoic dichotomy of control. The man thrown by the horse is constantly trying to control the horse's wild nature itself, his partner's moods, external events. He is fighting the beast on its own terms in the open field, and he always loses. The first step of the horse breaker is to stop. He builds the round pen of his own mind. He makes a radical decision to stop trying to control anything external and to focus solely on the only two things he can command within that circle: his own presence and his own actions. He lets the horse run wild, but he remains the calm, unmoving center of the pen. This is the first step to establishing dominance. The horse begins to understand that its chaos has no effect on this calm, immovable object. The second tool is the masterful use of pressure and release. This is the core technique of all great horse trainers. It is the language the horse understands. The horse breaker applies pressure, a firm command, a pull on the lead rope to guide the horse. The moment the horse begins to comply, even slightly, the pressure is immediately released. The release is a reward. The release is what teaches the horse the desired behavior. For you, this is a daily practice of stoic discipline. Setting a boundary with a partner is applying pressure. Doing the hard workout is applying pressure. Facing a fear is applying pressure. The release is the inner peace and self-respect that comes from the virtuous action itself. You are training your own inner beast. You are teaching your own nervous system that compliance with your rational will lead to a state of calm. Each time you hold a boundary and she respects it, you feel the release. Each time you finish a difficult task, you feel the release. This is not a battle of brute force. It is a highly intelligent process of conditioning yourself, of teaching your own wild nature that following the lead of your reason is the true path to peace. The third and final tool for this stage is the raw, driving force of the will to power. We must borrow this concept from a great philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. The act of breaking the horse is a battle. It is a contest of wills. The horse's instinctual will versus your conscious, rational will. This stage is not easy. It requires grit, determination, and a relentless desire to achieve self-mastery. This is not a will to power over others. It is the will to power over the most feral and chaotic parts of yourself. The horse breaker is a fighter. He wakes up every day ready for the struggle. He relishes the challenge. His willpower is the muscle he uses to hold the reins when the horse tries to bolt. It is a life of tension, of struggle, of constant vigilance. It is a necessary war that must be fought, and it must be won. Through this intense process, by creating the round pen of his focus, by mastering pressure and release through his discipline, and by feeling it all with his will to power, a man achieves the first great victory. The horse, which once threw him around like a rag doll, now obeys his commands. He has broken the beast. He is no longer the novice. He is now the horsebreaker. He is the contender. He is a man of immense discipline and control. His life is no longer chaotic. It is ordered. He can direct his own energy. He can command his own emotions. And he can achieve his goals through sheer force of will. He is respected. He is formidable. He is a success. But the contender's journey is not over. He has achieved control, but he has not yet achieved peace. His relationship with his own inner power is one of a master and a subjugated slave, not a true partner's. He is in a constant low-level battle, always needing to assert his dominance, always on guard lest a horse try to rebel. He has won the fight, but he has not yet learned to dance. The final ascension, the journey from horsebreaker to master horseman, is not about breaking a horse's will, but about learning to ride in perfect, effortless harmony with it. It is the path from a battle of wills to a dance of souls. We have left our hero at a moment of profound transformation. He has stepped into the alchemical forge of his own will and has subjected the soft, heavy, and poisonous lead of his old self to the intense heat of hardship and the relentless hammer of discipline. He has emerged from this trial by fire not as the man he was, but as something new. He is now a man of steel. He is no longer soft and malleable, easily bent by the will of others. He is hard. He is no longer heavy and weighed down by the past. He is sharp, focused, and purposeful. He is resilient, capable of withstanding pressures that would have once crushed him. He is the warrior, the builder, the prince, the duelist. He has forged himself into a formidable weapon, and he has earned the respect and admiration that comes with such strength. And it is here, in this victorious state of being, that he encounters the subtle but profound limitations of his own creation. For steel, as powerful and as useful as it is not the final stage of the great alchemical work. The man who remains a man of steel has built a magnificent fortress, but he has not yet achieved a state of true, unshakable peace. The first limitation of steel is its rigidity. Steel is strong because it is inflexible. The man of steel lives by a hard code of logic, discipline, and control. This is his strength, but it can also be his cage. He may struggle with spontaneity, with nuance, with the kind of creative, empathetic thinking that requires him to bend without breaking. He is so well-armored against the world that he can become emotionally rigid, a robot of virtue, who follows the rules of his philosophy but misses its soul. The second limitation is the coldness of steel. The forging process has burned away his weakness, but it may have also burned away some of his warmth. In his relentless pursuit of strength, he may have suppressed the softer but essential parts of his nature, his empathy, his vulnerability, his capacity for gentle connection. He is the lion, but he has forgotten the lamb. He is respected for his strength and feared for his edge, but he may find himself in a cold and lonely fortress. The final and most insidious limitation is that steel, if not constantly maintained, if left out in the rain, can rust. The man of steel strength is conditional. It is dependent on his constant vigilance, his relentless discipline. If he faces a long period of burnout, of emotional turmoil, of unrelenting hardship, a long, cold rain, his carefully forged strength can begin to corrode into bitterness, cynicism, and resentment. The armor becomes a weight, not a defense. This is what calls a man to the final, most profound transmutation. It is a great alchemical mystery, the secret of the masters. It is not about becoming harder or sharper. It is about becoming incorruptible. It is a great work of transforming strong steel into eternal, unchanging gold. This final ascension is not a process of forging, but of purification. It is not about adding anything new, but about perfecting the substance that is already there. It requires three final, transformative shifts in a man's being. The first is the discovery of the philosopher's stone. In ancient alchemy, this was the legendary substance that could perform the final transmutation. For the Stoic, this stone is a profound, life-altering realization that virtue is the only true good. The man of steel's worth is still, on some level, tied to his performance. He feels valuable because he is strong, because he is disciplined, because he is successful. His worth is tied to his utility. The man who discovers the philosopher's stone realizes that his worth is not in what he does, but in who he is. His value is not in his strength, but in his character. It is intrinsic. This is a seismic shift. He stops seeking to prove his worth through his actions and starts simply expressing his worth through his being. The second stage of the transmutation is the purification of intent. The man of steel often uses his strength to serve his own ends, to build his own empire, to win his own battles, to secure his own peace. The transmutation into gold requires a purification of his purpose. He begins to understand the Stoic concept of sympathia, the idea that we are all part of a larger interconnected whole. He realizes that a sword, no matter how sharp, is just a weapon if it only serves its wielder, but it can become a legendary artifact if it serves a kingdom. He begins to use his strength not just for himself, but in the service of a higher purpose. He becomes a leader who protects, a teacher who empowers, a father who provides a foundation for his family. He becomes a source of value for others, not because he is seeking anything in return, but because it is the highest expression of his own virtuous nature. His strength is no longer a weapon for conquest. It becomes a treasure to be shared. The third and final stage is the full embodiment of the nature of gold. A man becomes gold when he has fully integrated the qualities of this noble metal into his soul. First, gold is incorruptible. It does not rust. The man of gold's character does not corrode when faced with a long, cold rain of hardship. His peace is not conditional on his circumstances. His virtue is a stable, unchanging element. This is a state of Stoic apatheia, a deep, unwavering tranquility that is not disturbed by the chaos of the world. Second, gold has intrinsic value. It does not need to do anything to be valuable. It simply is. The man of gold is no longer on the treadmill of performance-based self-esteem. He has a quiet, profound sense of his own worth that is not dependent on his latest success or failure. He is enough, simply because he has committed his life to the pursuit of virtue. Third, gold has a warm, radiant glow. Unlike the cold, intimidating glint of steel, gold radiates a natural warmth. This is the man who has fully integrated his strength with his kindness. He is the lion and the lamb. He is the master horseman. He has the unbreakable strength of steel, but he has tempered it with the compassion, empathy, and wisdom that makes him a source of psychological warmth and safety for others. When a man has completed this great work, when he has transmuted the lead of his weakness into the steel of his strength, and finally purified that steel into the incorruptible gold of his own character, he has reached the pinnacle of his masculine journey. His presence is a calming and yet powerful force. He does not need to announce his value. It is self-evident. He moves through the world with a quiet, radiant confidence that is neither arrogant nor timid. In his relationships, he is the ultimate partner. He provides the unbreakable security of steel, but also the unconditional warmth, the deep value, and the incorruptible integrity of gold. He enriches the lives of those he loves not just by the things he does for them, but by the very nature of who he has become. The alchemical journey of the soul is the greatest adventure a man can undertake. To transform the heavy lead of your own fear and weakness, to forge in the fires of discipline into the formidable steel of your strength, and finally, to purify that strength into the eternal, shining gold of your own virtuous character. This is not just a path to success. It is the path to a life of profound meaning, unshakable peace, and true, lasting worth. What material is your soul made of today? And what is one action you can take this week to begin the next stage of your own great alchemical work? Share your commitment in the comments below. If you are ready to step into the forge and begin the difficult but glorious work of transforming your own soul, then subscribe to this channel. This is a place for the modern alchemist, a community of men dedicated to the lifelong pursuit of their own golden nature.